All right, we'll leave the baseball talk there. Let's talk some football. Jeff, this is the most Eagles you've talked in the preseason, like ever in all the years of us doing the show. In order to do it, we had to get somebody who actually knows stuff about the game. So, Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, you've been on the preseason game. You were down there the other night for the open practice, encouraging people to cheer on third down. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, that was a directive from the team. Obviously, I was not doing that on my own. The idea was to disrupt the offense, and so I think it was effective. I mean, I'll do anything it takes to win a game. You do, and so I'm doing great. I'm excited about the football season that is upon us, and looking forward to Saturday's game against Cleveland.
I wanted to ask you about the open practice real fast. I love the players' reactions. I mean, Reed Blankenship, I honestly think this is one of the coolest practices ever the organization could do. You get 60,000 people there for an open practice. It's not even a game, just going through drills. Talk about the atmosphere and the feeling down there for that.
It's a great reminder that the fans are a huge part of what the Eagles do, and that there are a lot of people who don't have the opportunity to go to a game. And so for them to be able to reach out and touch the Eagles, and there were so many children there, to reach out and touch the Eagles in that environment, to see how the players respond to it, is it's really important to the team. I think fans went away pleased. There's a big autograph session afterward. Um, and so, any way that the Eagles can touch fans is what it's all about, right? It's like generations of fans. And so it's a remarkable show of, like, oh my gosh, 50, 60,000 people are here for a practice. Understanding that, what they're doing at practice is very basic stuff, because everyone is filming it and putting it on the internet. And, the Eagles are extremely understanding that the rest of the league is watching all of this stuff, trying to get some clues as to what the Eagles are doing. So it all just works really well. And the energy from the crowd is awesome. So um, it's a special night for us, and I think it's a special night for the fans, and it worked out really well until Landon Dickerson went down. But fortunately,
Oh,
that injury does not at least appear to be anything that's long term.
So he did find a way to contribute um, on the sideline.
the
That's right.
beer.
how,
Anyway,
how
to do, yeah, but
how important is it for this offensive line to be as tight as they are? And you talk about offensive lines all the time. This offensive line has been together for a while. There have been some changes on it, but there is this cohesiveness to them that seems very important to the success of this team.
I mean, everything you do. I mean, their practices, when you watch the offensive line every day in practice, it is this choreographed, step by step process where they have to be in complete alignments. And the fact that they've had so much continuity is extremely beneficial. And so even like a guy like, Tyler Steen steps in at right guard this year, and I think he played like 371 snaps last season. So there's a lot of familiarity with Tyler and with Lane Johnson at right tackle and with Cam Jurgens at center. It's super important. And look, there's also depth, and you're going to have injuries. And so what Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach, does is he works in all of those combinations at practice, in these joint practices that the Eagles had with Cleveland this week, in the preseason games, to get the players ready, because you never, ever know what's going to happen. And there will be surprises, and there will be injuries, and you've got to be prepared for that.
I've enjoyed watching some of the position battles. The wide receivers are pretty fun. The depth, Johnny Wilson with a good night in the first game, Aeneas Smith, a big touchdown catch. Jahan Dotson, who you wrote about as the most improved Eagle with his offseason work with Jalen Hurts, and then Darius Cooper, who, I mean, Devontae Smith is going finding his YouTube tape from back in college, saying he's a freak of nature and fun to watch. Talk about what they have brewing behind AJ and Devontae right now.
Yeah, really important. It was really a question, I think, and a fair question heading into training camp. Who do you have behind those two players? Because Jahan really, I mean, in retrospect, you look back, he came in late in the preseason, jumped in, really never created chemistry with Jalen, never really understood exactly. He said, he's talked about where he was guessing where splits were. So he kind of was in blind. And to have him go through the offseason, he is just worlds and worlds better than he was last season. And then the question was, who's 4, who's 5, who's 6? If they keep 6, who's on the practice squad? And so all of a sudden, the emergence of these players has been really heartening. And Smith and Ias and Johnny Wilson, they've taken that big leap from year 1 to year 2. And Cooper has been making plays, and Terrace Marshall is now healthy, and we might see a lot of him on Saturday in preseason. So there is competition. 17-game schedule. You're going to need players, and we have seen the Eagles' offense really, really drop off when AJ's not on the field. So you got to find a solution for when those players are not able to play, and it has been extremely encouraging to see that in this preseason, in these joint practices, these young receivers stepping up.
You talk about depth and how important it is. It's also important at the quarterback position. Your starting quarterback matters most, but people are now sitting there saying that they should trade Tanner McGee. How important is it to have a good backup quarterback?
Well, with Nick Foles important back in the 2017 season, I mean, they really don't have to go any further than that. He won the Super Bowl, and Tanner McGee is a very talented young player. Glad to see he's getting some recognition. I'm actually surprised that the way he played against Dallas, the way he played against the Giants to end the season, that other teams didn't come after him, and maybe they did, but they offered him a low, they'll offer the Eagles a low number. I don't know. But I think the kid's got a world of ability, and I think someday he will be starting and playing at a very, very high level in the NFL. And I just think he's got it all. He's got brains. He gets rid of the football really well. He processes extremely quickly. He's very talented, big arm, 6'6", has enough mobility to get away from pressure and to run bootlegs and respect, and people can respect a little RPO every now and then. So I'm looking forward to, again, seeing him the rest of this preseason. And it is important. Jalen has missed a game or two throughout his career. And to have somebody go in that you have confidence in to run the offense and run it at a high level, very, very valuable. And Tanner McGee, I would say, makes the Eagles feel really great about their quarterback situation. And then, you bring in some younger players and you try to develop those guys. And so how we kind of pulled back the term quarterback factory years ago, but that is the goal, to have multiple quarterbacks that you're developing, and that A, value if your starter goes down, and B, maybe he uses assets down the road.
And look, I appreciate offers for him. I would not move him. You mentioned it. Jalen misses a game or two each season. Football is very physical, and there's a reason Nick Foles has a statue outside the link. So, I'm totally fine having a good backup quarterback. On the defensive side, I mean, obviously, I could stick on the offense, but on the defensive side, you got position battles all over the place too. Jordan Davis comes in looking like a new man, slimmed down. He found Peloton, looks amazing. Jalen Carter's not even really out there in the game at all. Talk about, you've got Moro Ojomo, talk about the depth that they're trying to develop on the defensive line, where they like to have a lot of guys rotate in and out.
Yeah, the Eagles are devastating at the defensive tackle position. I mean, I'll say that straight out. They are deep. They are talented. They wreck the game. They dominate the line of scrimmage. Moro Ojomo is right up there with Jahan Dotson in terms of most improved player. He has been just so quick off the ball, so powerful, just a revelation. And it was a good player last year, but certainly will thrive in a larger role this year. Jordan Davis came on in a large way last year, late in the season, was really impressive in some of the things that he did with getting quarterback pressure, stopping their run, and so forth. And then, of course, Jalen Carter, who the 43rd best player in the league, quote unquote. Like, I just think the guy is as dominating a player along the defensive line as I've seen since Reggie White, and he's only going to get better. And so then you've got, Ty Robinson comes in and he's played really well here in the preseason, and there's some other players. And so the Eagles, as much as they pride themselves on building the offense, they also, at the line of scrimmage, they also pride themselves on building the defense at the line of scrimmage. So they're stacked inside, and they are going to give teams a lot of trouble, as we've seen in the past.
From what you've seen of this year's practices and this year's team, what can the Eagles fans expect that's going to be different this year? Are they going to be more passing and more running? Are we going to see something different, or is it going to be basically the same thing?
Well, it worked last year.
I think subtly, yeah. I mean, I don't know how much you change something. You don't fix something that's not broken. I mean, Kevin Patullo is the new offensive coordinator. He will certainly put his personality on things. So, and I don't know to the extent of what that will be. I think that it's really hard to envision Saquon Barkley carrying the ball 400 times plus that he did last year, including postseason. AJ Dillon, Will Shipley give the Eagles great depth at running back, and I think we saw a taste of that last week. Will
All
had the
right,
big
so
run. But even in terms of scheme, I don't think there's going to be a ton of difference.
I've seen your face for years now, and the smile that comes on your face when you talk about the Eagles. I think I can bring just as much smile with this question. How much fun is it to watch the Cowboys dysfunction? See, there's the smile.
There's a smile.
Yeah, it's great. I love it, and yeah, I hope that it continues at least through September 4th. I mean, the Cowboys are a very powerful brand. They have not been able to find their way. I have written this before, and of course, it's not getting any traction. But why in the world are the Eagles not America's team? This is a football team that has been, that is extremely entertaining, really diverse cultures. The way they play, the way the Eagles play is exciting. The national television audience is huge. 3 Super Bowls in the last 8 years. Dallas, who? So yeah, it is enjoyable to watch. And look, I'm enjoying seeing Washington have to kind of deal with the expectations of success. It is not easy to win big, and then it's not easy to stay winning big and to have that kind of sustained success. And so I'm enjoying the way things have gone so far this summer. Yes, very much.
I don't know if I've seen this much depth at the linebacker position on the Eagles in
Fair.
my time being a fan. I mean, you've got you've got N'Kobe Dean recovering and Zach Bond taking it easy with his back. And meanwhile, you got Trot Jr. out there, sound as anything there on every run play, and Jahad Campbell just blowing everything up along with everybody else. Talk about the depth that they have there at linebacker.
And Smile Mondon Jr., the fourth round, fifth round draft pick from Georgia, who is a real prospect also. It is something to see. And, watching Jahad play, you just see a play that he's just a dominating player. And so, I mean, I agree with you. And for years, we have asked the question, and I've been asked the question, why don't the Eagles value the linebacker position? Blah, 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 blah. Well, they got it right with Zach Bond, and they rewarded him with a contract. They have used high draft picks. They have gotten it right. And Vic Fangio has put these players in the right positions. And I think what they have going on at linebacker is extremely exciting. As you see Jahad Campbell more and more, you realize how special he is and how special he can be. There was a play in the Sunday scrimmage or the Sunday practice. Nobody talked about it, but I'm sitting on the sidelines. Saquon goes in motion, and Jahad's in coverage. Saquon heads up the field, gives a little shake move, and then heads to the pylon, so a little corner route. And Jahad Campbell was with him every step of the way. Remarkable cover skills, incredible athleticism. Against a player who's a really good pass receiver and can run really good routes. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be excited about for the linebacker position.
All right, we know you're tight on time, so last one, because you're talking about cover skills. The one area that I am a little concerned is the secondary. We know Quinion Mitchell is going to be there. We know Cooper. We know Reed. That other cornerback slot, they were able to make a trade with Thomas Booker, bringing in somebody else to compete there. Talk
Ja'Cory
about Ja'Cory Bennett. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Talk about what you're seeing there from the competition. Keely Ringo got the start in the preseason game. We see Sidney Brown in at safety. How are you seeing that shake out from what you're watching?
I think it's open competition, and it's to be determined. And you sit here and you go, wow, we're only 3 weeks away from the opener. less than 3 weeks away from the opener. So things have to be pulled together quickly. I also understand that not every player at every position is going to be an all-pro, and that you can do things to cover up deficiencies. But that cornerback position is open, and Bennett, I would imagine, will play quite a bit on Sunday or on Saturday against Cleveland. And Ringo and Dory Jackson are still battling. Eli Ricks has had a good summer, so open competition there. We'll see how it plays out. I actually feel good about safety with Sidney Brown and Andrew Makuba. When you see Makuba play, you'll see somebody who's really, really fast. And by the way, like Tristan McCullum played well last year, so it's not as dynamic maybe with a personality like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but I think once you see Sidney Brown, who the game is slowed down for, he understands the defensive scheme. I think he's very physical. He's a lot of fun to watch. He and Makuba are going to throw themselves into it. And again, I think that's an open competition too. In base, I believe Cooper will be on the field as the starting safety. But of course, nobody plays base anymore. They play nickel personnel, meaning a third receiver, dime personnel, meaning a fourth receiver. So the Eagles have some questions to answer there. And I think that is a fair pair of positions to look at and say, we are not settled here yet, because I don't think the Eagles feel like they're settled there either.
Dave Spadaro, we always appreciate you hopping on, giving us some time to break it down and talk about it. Look forward to catching up with you as we get closer to the season.
Have a great weekend, guys. 1:00 tomorrow, NBC 10 in Philadelphia, obviously on the Eagles radio network as well. And wherever you are, stop and give the Eagles a little look-see. You're going to enjoy what you see.
That's right, Jeff. Stop and give them a look-see.
Yeah, Jeff. Come on.
Thanks,
Just
Dave.
because you want to go to the beach, just because you want to go to the beach all weekend.
Yeah, right.
Close. I'm going to Coney Island. I'm going to ride the rides.
There
we
you
go.
go.
Have
Thanks,
a great
Dave.
weekend, guys. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Take it easy.
Here.